I wanted to speak to the idea of seeing the value and uniqueness within yourself, right? I think that a lot of times we can move through life feeling like a number. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of LOFT Talk. You are not confused. I have on the same outfit because I'm shooting these two consecutive episodes, episode 29 and episode 30. This is episode 30. I'm in the same outfit because I went straight into the following episode. So you are not tripping. This is a different video. It's a different episode. I wanted to speak to the idea of seeing the value and uniqueness within yourself, right? I think that a lot of times we can move through life feeling like a number, feeling like just a member of society, just a cog in the system, just a robot, and just feel a little insignificant, right? And I kind of want to remind y'all, like I said, as well as myself, I'm always talking to myself, or at least a part of myself, depending on the topic. When I speak to y'all, right? I wanted to remind us that we each literally, down to the molecule and atoms of our body, are unique. Like we each are different than the next person. We may have similarities, and which is why there are different groups and races of people because of similarities, right? But when it comes down to, like, nobody is 100% the same. Not one person on this planet is 100% the same. Not even identical twins are 100% the same. They're called identical because they're almost 100% the same. They're not 100% the same, right? Don't quote me on that. Somebody might argue that as a different fact, but I mean, I think every set of identical twins I've ever seen, I've been able to spot differences in between them. So Tia and Tamara are supposed to be identical twins, and I know them. I've known them apart since I knew who they were. So everybody is different. You get what I'm saying? You may sometimes, and what I'm gonna touch on this first is the first thing that came to mind with this topic, this first like subcategory. You may find yourself comparing yourself to your peers in a specific industry. Like, say you're a photographer. I'm a photographer, right? So we're gonna use that as an example. You may see a photographer that has more financial success than you, or has more clientele under their belt, or is just more known and has more work, right? And you may look at them and kind of go, well, what do they have that I don't? Or what is the difference between my career and theirs right now? What got them to where they are, and what's keeping me where I am, or vice versa, right? And a lot of times, like I said, we're different. Maybe they bring something different, or it may be that you look at your work and you're like, why does their work look like that and mine looks like this? Not that theirs is better and yours is worse, or yours is better and theirs is worse. It's just that something is different about it, and you are trying to figure out, well, how is there room for me and him or her or anybody else in this industry? And sometimes, I'm speaking for myself, I can get mind boggled even when I look at other people. Like, I compare other artists and other photographers, and I'm not even putting myself in a situation. Sometimes I look at them and I can go, how is it room for both of them in the world? Like, for some, and this is maybe a weird thing that only I do, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that can relate to this. I get a bit mind boggled when that happens. Like, sometimes seeing two people exist at the same time in the same field, I get a little bit mind boggled, and I'm like, how does that work? Because they're very simple, like, they're different, but like, how is there an audience for both of them? How's there an audience that wants this but also wants this, which are of the same thing but aren't the same thing? Does that make sense? They're of the same industry but aren't the same exact thing. Adidas and Nike, for example. I know this might not be the best example, but Adidas and Nike are very, very different, but very, very much the same. Both athletic, both for sports and active wear, and even have certain sub brands where they do just for fashion. You get what I'm saying? They both have really nice sneakers and stuff, and a lot of their sneakers silhouettes actually are similar to each other and resemble each other. But there's an audience that would much rather wear an Adidas shoe than a Nike shoe, and an audience that would much rather wear a Nike shoe than an Adidas shoe. And sometimes it's like, how is it room for both? And why? And if it is room for both, and they're so similar but not the same, why isn't it just one? And I don't know. Maybe that's just me that thinks like that. Another example that I feel like a lot of the people on Twitter argue about a lot, or make comparisons, and the comparisons are kind of weird, but Beyonce and Rihanna. You get what I'm saying? They're both megastars, and sometimes you can see the similarities between them. And yeah, they're different artists completely, but sometimes you can see similarities, and you're like, how is there a full-on audience for Rihanna and a full-on audience for Beyonce? You get what I'm like why, even though sometimes that is the same audience. Maybe that wasn't a good example. Maybe I'll cut that out the video. Another example, if those two examples didn't quite paint the picture for you, Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors. While one of them, just like with the Beyonce Rihanna situation, one of them blew up a lot earlier than the other one, but they have these similar sized fan bases, similar sized careers, and this similar, they're sought after in a similar way, right? And sometimes it can be like, you know, being that they're both about to be a Creed 3, which Michael B. Jordan is directing, it can be like, how can these two people that are kind of the same lane, a bit of the same world, have two separate huge fan bases, like two separate things going on, and then exist in the same world? Does that make sense? I hope those three examples came together to tie that all together for y'all. To relate that back to what I'm trying to say about the uniqueness in yourself, I said all of that to say you can exist at the same time as the next man that seems to be doing very similar to you, doing things that are very similar to you, may have a very similar track record and resume as you, but you can exist just like that person can, because at the end of the day, you are two separate individuals, two separate entities with two separate brains. Yeah, y'all both may be R&B artists, but you sing about your life experiences and where you come from, and he sings about wherever he comes from, right? So yeah, y'all may both be black men, y'all may both even be dark skinned, y'all may both even be light skinned, y'all may have a similar size nose and head shape and hair texture. Y'all may be very similar, but at the end of the day, you are you and he is him. You get what I'm saying? Y'all may both be photographers, and maybe y'all both like using vibrant colors, and maybe y'all both like shooting humans only. Maybe y'all both only do portrait photography, and maybe y'all both shoot a lot of music artists. So maybe y'all bouncing around in similar circles in the industry, shooting some of the same artists who are in the same circles. And now y'all, y'all have a lot of similar work. Maybe y'all shoot for some of the same publications and magazines, and maybe y'all use a similar color palette. But at the end of the day, your work is your work, and that person's work is that person's work. There's something about it. There's always going to, y'all can be very similar, but there's always going to be something about it that allows people, or at least y'all's individual fan bases, to know which is which and why they like which one. So I said that to say we are all unique and we all bring our own individual thing to the table. And I think people need to be reminded of that so that they can understand what they possess and what they carry. Like you may just be you, but that's good enough. Like you being you is a lot. You being you and existing as you says a lot, because you're the only you. So whenever you walk into a room, you bring value into that room off the simple strength that you're the only you. They can't get you nowhere else. They can't get another you nowhere else because you're only you. You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to remind y'all of that, because I think it will help with confidence. It'll probably help with confidence across, the board, as far as how you feel walking into a room, as far as when you go out, as far as meeting people, going on dates, whatever the case may be, going out into your career and shooting for your dreams, right? You carry a different level of confidence when you understand there is nobody like me. And I noticed I said confidence and not arrogance. You carry a different level of confidence knowing there's only one me. Only I can bring to the table what I can bring to the table. Literally nobody can show up as Dareus. Literally nobody can show up as whoever you are. You know what I'm saying? But you. So that is your value that you bring to the table, if nothing else. And I'm sure there's so many other things we all bring to the table. But if nothing else, you bring your individuality, right? That's all I wanted to talk about today. Thanks for tuning in. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for viewing again. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching another episode. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I post. I upload videos 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I will be here all week, as I always am. And if you got anything out of this video, if it sparked a thought, if it got your gears turning, or if it simply entertained you, leave a comment and like the video. And until next episode, peace.